Howdy folks, welcome back to Black Sheep Meadow. I'm Brent.
And I'm Amber.
And we got a good one for you today.
We got a cold one today.
So today's video was supposed to be about building the chicken tractor, but Mother Nature has butted her way in and she's dropping this polar vortex on us, so we got to get the homestead ready for that.
Hopefully you guys have all been made aware that the news is talking about it all over the place. We're supposed to have some really good winter weather coming our way, so our plans have had to shift from chicken tractor to preparing the homestead for really cold weather for possibly an extended period of time. So going over a couple of things, everybody probably knows the 4 Ps.
Correct. The people, pets, pipes, and plants.
Yes. So as far as the people, the things that we do is I will have excess water. So pumped water, whether it be bottled water from the store, or I have water containers that I will fill up before the cold weather gets here, so that if something happens and I can't access the plumbing, I will already have water for us.
Available, correct.
Available without having to have any kind of pump or anything like that.
5 to 8 gallons for 2 people, and I mean they're talking 3 to 4 days maybe for us.
Yeah, so something like that. I'm not really expecting us to not ever have access to our water, but maybe this will ease it if we do run into a situation like that. The other thing that I will do is this weekend I'm going to prep a bunch of meals. So stuff that is easy to reheat with minimal resources. So I like soups, stews, something that can heat up simply without, taxing those resources that we have. Something where you could use like a camp stove, a jet boil.
Well, you're going to cook prior to the storm.
Right.
And
this is just reheating.
Yep.
Something that I could use like the jet boil, and I could put a serving of soup in it and it'll be boiling in 90 seconds. Uses very minimal fuel. They're pretty inexpensive. Yep. And they are tiny and they store up really well. So that's what I will do. I will have plenty of that type stuff that, we can have access to without having to use a lot of resources.
Yep. Then all the basic things, fill your gas cans, top off your propane tanks. Don't do it the day before. They're going to be inundated with people coming in.
Right.
We were actually already filling up our propane this afternoon, and they were pretty mild so far. So.
Right. And then check on your neighbors.
Yes.
That is something that we prioritize, and I will make sure that I have plenty of food. If my neighbors need food, I will have food for them.
We tend to focus on everything here at the homestead, but we need to remember to focus on the neighbors. A lot of our neighbors are elderly.
Right.
And, we're in a very remote location, so if they need help, there. So that's the people. The pets are going to be very simple. Our main pet, Oakley, she's out chewing on some sticks right now. But,
you guys know Oakley will not have a problem. She will be the warmest of all of us.
That being said, the next thing that falls in line with that is our livestock, being our chickens, and let's go check them out.
Go check them out. Hey guys, so we're here at the chicken turkey coop that you guys have seen several times. The first thing that I want to talk about is the windows. I have saved several feed sacks over the past month or so, and I staple them up over the windows as a good wind block. It's a really good reuse purpose. We don't need these up all the time. Texas, we more often need airflow than we need wind block. So that's what's going over both windows on the front of the coop. It's pretty straightforward. You cut them, you staple them up there. I usually don't have a problem with them not lasting the full season. When springtime comes around, I pull them off. It's not a big deal. So inside, sorry baby girl. Inside the coop, we're going to make sure that we have really thick bedding. So we will add an extra bag of shavings to here, probably right before the storm really comes in. So they've already got really thick bedding. We will make sure that that's increased by the time that the storm gets here. So they'll have plenty of fluff, air insulation, that type thing. The other thing that we will do is we will have a feeder like this inside. See, we've already filled this one. We will put a feeder like this inside the coop so that it is easily accessible for them, and we can kind of monitor it a little bit better how much they're actually eating. We will more than likely mix in some scratch grain with this to give them extra protein. This is an 18% protein. If you have not already increased the amount of protein that you're giving your chickens through the winter, you really should. Now's the time to do that. Protein, as they digest it, that's their heat, that's their energy inside their little bodies. So a higher protein feed through this is definitely going to be important for them. So we will keep that in here. They'll have access to it without having to go outside into the weather if they don't want to. The other thing we will do is we will utilize a water like this. So this particular coop is on a rainwater collection system. We will disable that so that the float doesn't get damaged if it does freeze. That being said, so they will need an alternative source of water. So we will use these. We will actually have them inside the coop. If needed, we have it set up where we can turn on a heat lamp. And the heat lamp would be just to keep the water from freezing. It's probably the biggest thing that they're gonna need is fresh water. So, and because we're gonna be here, we're not worried about them running out. We can check this periodically. We can add warm water to it if need be. So that is the most important things that you can do for your chickens. It's pretty simple, keeps them moving. They're little radiators. They're not that hard to keep warm. The next thing that we're gonna talk about is the plumbing. So let's head over there.
All right, so when it comes to plumbing and pipes, I think we all understand that we need to keep the pipes covered, keep them insulated as best possible, keep them out of the freezing temperatures as much as we can. I like to keep a variety of PVC fittings, just various things, you know, because if we do have something bust and I need to make a repair middle of the storm, I can. I don't always expect to have every PVC pipe or fitting that I need, every T or elbow on hand, but I do want to be able to cap off a pipe that's busted to where I can still use water in a different area. So keeping pipe caps as well as the valve. This works as an excellent cap, because now in the future, if I do have an issue, I can, instead of having just a cap, I've got a valve where I can isolate water once again. When it comes to isolating water, we're going to shut off everything that we would not normally need for the bare minimum. I've actually got my plumbing mapped out. This is the furthest most point of my plumbing from our water well, and I've got a freeze miser. And basically this thing just goes on the end of a water hose, and when it reaches 37 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll open up and begin to release water, not at a very slow rate. And that's going to keep the water flowing. Obviously the water's underground for the most part. It's coming out of the ground, out of the well, but the water's going to be really warm in temperature versus what's outside air temp is, and it's going to keep most of our plumbing from freezing. So this has worked very well for us. If y'all remember in the Texas freeze a few years ago, where I think we were like 4 degrees for one whole day, most everything around our area was frozen. The stock ponds, the lakes, the streams, everything was froze over. I had this freeze miser going on a hose right in this area, and it had a pool of water that was probably about 6 to 8 foot in diameter. And it was really amazing to see the amount of wildlife that found that liquid water, because that was the only thing they had to drink for miles around. So something to think about. Keep some, one other thing. Check your PVC glue and primer. It's been a long hot summer. We don't know if it dried up. Obviously you want to make sure those things are readily available come freeze time. So let's move on.
All right guys, so if you've followed our channel for any time, you know that we have a full Homestead generator that is essentially fixed. It's not portable, that we can have backup power to run the whole homestead. But this is our backup for our backup. And we really got this for that purpose, or if we need to be mobile with some power. So if a family member or a neighbor, somebody gets into a bind, we have something that's mobile that can provide power for, you know, an extended period of time. With that being said, now's the time to start these up. Make sure that they fire up. Make sure you have fresh fuel. If this fuel has been sitting in this fuel can since the last time you mowed, it's not fresh anymore. That will not be nice if it is 17 degrees outside and you can't get this bad boy to start. So fill up your gas cans, refill your gas cans. Now's the time to fill up your vehicles. Don't wait till the last minute and fight those lines. That's not fun. So keep something like this in mind. Have a backup for your backup. Have a backup for family members that could be in need. Now's the time to check them. So let's move on to plants.
All right guys, so a few other preparations that I like to have is some backup lighting. I'm a really big fan of rechargeable flashlights. I don't like having to fiddle around with batteries, leaking acid and whatnot. These are all going to be lithium ion batteries that are rechargeable off of a USB or USB-C, I believe. Great preparation backup. We would like to mention too, if y'all are going to use any type of open flame heat, please have ventilation. That is, so many people die from carbon monoxide poisoning, it's not even funny. So
the other thing besides these for light source, if you look behind us, you've seen all over the homestead, we have lanterns.
Yep.
And we utilize those all the time.
Use liquid paraffin in those. Now the liquid paraffin is going to solidify in the cold temperatures. That's something to think about there.
Yep.
So keep in mind all those little details. Once again, a backup flashlight or multiple backup flashlights is a huge deal, because if lights go out, you don't want to be fumbling around in the dark.
The last thing would be your plants. So if you've followed along, you know that currently the only plants that we really have that are active are cabbage and broccoli, which will be just fine through this kind of cold weather. So we're not going to overly stress about anything like that. But if you have plants that are sensitive to temperature like this, if at all possible, bring them inside or into a garage, or get them covered, some sort of source to kind of protect your plants. The good thing is this time of year, most of those things are dormant. And
potatoes will go in the ground in another month or so.
I'm excited for potatoes.
But folks, in the meantime, if y'all like our channel or like the message that we're trying to promote, go ahead and like, subscribe, ring the little bell. As far as my motivational speech every week, I want y'all to become self-sufficient, self-sustainable, become ungovernable. Get off the system.
Get off the system. We'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week.